And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald Glasser coming back at you here from Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate.
What?
No, just what the things sometimes happens in the creation of the show. It's got to make you laugh. But it is, of course, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Plus, also as well, of course, got to go ahead and check out what Melinda is doing each and every time out at Vampires of Vitae, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and her new project, which she will talk about before we get off the air today. It is a good friend indeed. I will bring her on right now. Speaking of which, she will have to burden her way through. She will have to suffer her way through my listing of the best of pop culture. It happens once a year. And this is the day, this is the time she has to hear through it. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. And Melinda, great to have you here. Looking forward to a great episode. I was just hearing Robbie Ross's, your man, your husband,
My one and only,
sharing his thoughts on the best and worst in pop culture, which I found most interesting. But great to have you here as always, my friend.
Good to be here.
So I ask you before we get into all that best of talk, do you want to mention though that Xbox, your nemesis,
yes,
they had a little Xbox Developers Direct showcase today. You know, and I don't see PlayStation doing any of this.
No.
Xbox showing off some of its goodies that is actually coming out this year to Xbox and PC platforms, and looking forward to it. I don't know if you got a chance to look at some of the actual highlights and the actual physical gameplay, which, you know, I'm a big thing about. You can show me all the cutscenes in the world, but, you know, it's great until you show me the gameplay. And we got to see some of the gameplay today at the Xbox Developers Direct 2024 from Avowed.
Is it as good as Mortal Kombat on Nintendo Switch?
It's much better. It's much better than
okay.
That will appear on my worst. I'm going to throw everybody a bone out there. That will appear when I'm going to go ahead and discuss my worst of 2024 on Sunday with Josh, and yes, that will definitely be on it. You know, I know that might be on your worst of 2024 when you talk about later here today as well.
It was shocking,
but it is Xbox Developers Direct and Avowed, the first-person exploration type mystical game that's coming out later this year in the fall. Showed off by Obsidian. Obsidian has a great track record, so I'm looking forward to what I see. This game has had mixed thoughts from one trailer to the next. This latest trailer showed off combat and gameplay, and I was impressed. I thought it was pretty good for what it was, so I'm looking forward to it. But the games that I really am looking forward to, as of now, unless Avowed wows me later this year, Senua's Saga, that's coming out in May. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, which is coming out in May 21st.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic. I may not always get in play. I've tried to get into the original one's gameplay and try to get into that because it deals with psychosis and all that. It's a game that if you have a Dolby Digital surround sound system, it is truly beneficial of that. It is absolutely a fantastic visual experience. It may not have the greatest gameplay as far as the original one, but Hellblade 2 looks like it's trying to alleviate all that. If you got a chance to see it today, Melinda, Even you, as a PlayStation fangirl, has to admit this looks exquisite as far as the detail on that game.
There is a twinge of FOMO for this game in particular because I loved the first one so much.
Mhm.
It's just such a interesting concept for a game because if even if you don't have surround sound like in your room where you game, do yourself a favor and before you play Hellblade or Hellblade 2 when it comes out, get yourself surround sound headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the voices and stuff that start to come through the game, they tell you secrets, and sometimes they're real,
Melinda,
sometimes
Melinda,
they're not real,
Melinda,
and
Melinda.
but they come at you from all of the different angles, like,
Yes.
they really do such a good job capturing that surround sound and really using it well. It's so interesting, and, the developers of the game, I know for the first one because I kinda deep dove because I didn't even know what the game was, I just downloaded it one day on a lark, I was like, "Well, this looks interesting," and then I was hooked. But they actually spent a lot of time talking to medical professionals in the mental health field. And they spoke with people who do have things like schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder and things like that to really get an idea of what it would be like and what it is like to live with those kind of mental illnesses and what that would do to you as someone who has experienced the types of trauma that she experiences in the video game just before the game starts. So yeah, no, they did their homework and it's so good. I will never be able to praise this game enough. And yeah, it is definitely the one thing that Xbox has that I'm like, ouch.
I will say though, Melinda,
Yeah.
they showed off in the developers direct. One of the things they do is they do show off that technique of as far as the whispering is concerned. It's actually a stand-up mic, and the actors walk around while they're whispering
Oh
around the mic. It's
my god.
Melinda,
So good.
Melinda, Melinda, Melinda. And it's just like, my gosh,
Yeah.
so creative how they do that. And it just, like you said, when you listen to it in the proper setting,
Yeah.
the original is fantastic. I just it's the gameplay was hard for me to get into, so
Mhm.
I think they realized that.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a lot smoother in its combat and its gameplay, especially the puzzles. Hopefully, will be a little bit more intriguing to solve. So it just looks good. The
Yeah.
photorealism of the
Oh.
characters themselves, the way they
Mhm.
move, the way they talk, the way they flow, the facial animations, it is probably one of the best looking games I've ever seen in my life already for number two. Number one was really damn good, but this
Yeah.
one is up the stakes.
I was gonna say, I feel like number 1, you could still hold a candle to a lot of the games that we have access to right now
Mhm.
before this one comes out. So, yeah, I remember thinking about and talking about because even the cutscenes and the gameplay, there's not really a difference between how the game looks
Mhm.
visually on the screen. So, yeah, I cannot say enough good things about this game. And yeah, I'm gonna have to come over to your house so I can play the second one.
Or you could get an Xbox.
Or I could just come and visit. I'll bring pizza.
Okay, well, yeah, I
Okay.
take bribes. Okay, fair enough indeed. But it is what we're talking about right here in Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, which is coming out in May of 2024, May 21st to be exact. Ninja
Mhm.
Theory looks like they've created something that is so detailed. My God, it looks so good. Avowed is coming in the fall. I know I mentioned that. I was really excited originally in that original trailer that I saw. And then the second trailer, I was with many on the internet that go saying, well, this ain't looking as great as I have. This one, I guess the third trailer that just came out for this developers direct, we got a little bit more look at the gameplay and things of that nature and the decisions that you make and the conversations that you have. I'm thinking about, you know what? This is something that since it's going to be on Games Pass, I definitely should give it a chance.
Yeah, well, I mean, why wouldn't you if it's on Game Pass?
No, absolutely.
You know?
Just the options for it, and whether or not it's going to be a huge game for Xbox, we'll wait and see. If that's going to be the marquee title that's coming out this year, I don't know if it should be. I don't know if it will be. We'll have to wait and see because, again, I still think they need one more heavy hitter. They do. I really think. And they may have that. They may have that because Machine Games showed off for the first time Indiana Jones and the Great
Oh,
Circle.
uh-huh.
And if you get a chance to see this, it looks good. Indy really looks good. It's shown mainly from a first person perspective, although when he does traversal and climbing, it's like an Uncharted in many ways where he goes to third person, but it reverts back to a very familiar Machine Games first person vantage point if you're familiar with their Castle Wolfenstein games.
Right.
So from that aspect, it's great, but it's all about the story. This is going to be a narrative driven game. This is not going to be an open ended game that so many are used to now. This goes back to the narrative driven games of last decade, which personally I still prefer a narrative driven 20 to 30 hour game. Get me in, get me out,
Yeah.
have me complete the story and move on. And it's so good because you can see Indiana Jones's face, his capture the photorealism. It's pretty darn good. It's not quite sinuous Hellblade
Right.
2, but my gosh, they still made it and captured a pretty darn good Harrison Ford. You do get a lot of whip action because that's your main weapon of choice for usage.
Naturally. Yeah.
I would have liked a more. I don't know if he does get a pistol or he does put his hands on a gun during the course of the game. It didn't show any of that because he does have a pistol, for most of his action scenes in movies. So I'm hoping that they do that, but it looks more like it's just reliant on a lot of whip usage for against your opponents or try to duke them out and punch out Nazis and all that good stuff that Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones has done over the years. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And as Machine Games, who has made Castle Wolfenstein and has made punching Nazis, you know, their way of making money because over the years they've punched out a lot of Nazis in the middle in all these Castle Wolfenstein games.
Yeah.
This is something that they're used to, something that they look like they enjoyed. And again, as we saw from this past year's Indiana Jones bomb and the previous Indiana Jones movie that was a bomb, they're going to have to really make sure that the story works in order for this Indiana Jones to find its treasure.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know how many people I mean, it's kind of it's the only thing really that you should be using if you're going to play an Indiana Jones game, but I don't know how many people are going to really like being tied to that whip. Realistically speaking. Well,
It all depends how fun it is. It all
I guess
depends on how.
video gamingly.
I mean, well, again, it would, part of it is again not only the fact that you use it for your traversal as far as your
Yeah.
climbing things of that nature. Is like if you have someone about in the in the video game setting 10 feet away from you, you've got a bad guy 10 feet away from you, you can snatch him with your whip and then bring him over to you to duke him out and punch him out and dispose of him. Or you can use whatever weapons that are there. As far as I saw him coming up from behind and hitting someone with a shovel, so it gives you a little bit of option if that's the case. And I just, again, from that vantage point, I don't mind at all, but I'm just hoping that we will be able to get a good story because this won't be an open world setting or anything like that. It's not going
Yeah.
to be 100-hour adventure. It's going to be a straight up 15 to 30-hour adventure. And as long as the story holds together, I think that's what's most important.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've seen video games with half decent stories, but gameplay wasn't quite there, and those games haven't done well either. So,
That's a good point.
yeah, you know what, mediocre, straight down the middle. That's what we're hoping for.
That's what we're hoping for indeed. But that game is Indiana Jones and the Grand Circle. Hopefully, in the Great Circle, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That is coming out this year, most likely, since they just gave it a generic 2024 date, coming out later in the year for Xbox. So definitely looking forward to that. They did mention a couple other games. I guess Square Enix dropped on by to talk about Visions of Mana. That's coming in the summer of 2024. I know as a PlayStation fan, you might have come across some Mana games in the past. Any thoughts on Square Enix dropping their first Mana game on Xbox later this year?
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it does.
Okay.
That's really, that I mean, I'll keep a half an eye on it. It's not, a title that of anything that I follow passionately. It's no Diablo to me. But it's one that I'll keep an eye on just to see how it's doing.
And last but not least, Ara History Untold for all you strategy gamers out there. That's coming this fall. It looks like something where, as far as you're able to go ahead and shape time from the distant past to the distant future. So you'll be able to go ahead and shape the civilization and the world around you. And I think if you are really into these civilization types games, you've got a lot of experience from those games being transferred over to Oxide Games to go ahead and work on this. So, yeah, I've never really been into the strategy genre, but to create an opportunity to have a civilization from one, century to another, building the pyramids of Giza, I saw actually during the trailer, to building ultra futuristic buildings later in our universe. Sounds like a good opportunity for strategy gamers out there.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And, something that I think probably changes and evolves fast enough. So if you do get a little bit bored of building, then at least there's new buildings coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is there for you right now. I put it out on of course, the link at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. Go ahead and check it out. It is the Xbox Developers Direct 2024 with the announcements of Our History Untold coming out later this year. Also, saw Visions of Mana coming out in summertime. Avowed coming out in the fall. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle coming out sometime in 2024. And Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga, that is coming out in May of 2024, May 21st to be exact. And if you have thoughts on what's going on with Developers Direct and you have high hopes for Xbox this year, please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, wanted to go ahead before I get into the best of mine and your worst of the pop culture for 2023. The best-selling video games of last year seem to have caught us off guard because there was a surprise.
Was there?
Yes, there was. As a game that actually was released in February was the number one best-selling game of last year. So that's it's pretty good because Hogwarts Legacy took the title for best-selling video game of 2023. Now, the one caveat, I do not know at all what Baldur's Gate eventually or actually did during the year 2023. Somehow they're able to spurn the numbers because it was all digital with them. That game did not come out physically in any form. So and I don't think that they reported the numbers. They only give you roundabout guesses about how well that did. So with that caveat there, the number one game of last year is Hogwarts Legacy. Were you surprised that Hogwarts Legacy, which again got strong reviews, not great reviews, but pretty strong reviews, garnered not only enough momentum to be the best-selling game of that front part of the year, but held on to be the best-selling game of 2023?
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. Potterheads are Potterheads for a reason, right?
That they are.
And they continue to support the IP. So I'm not really super surprised to hear that the video game came on and then stayed on for the year.
It's not surprising, especially the fact that later on in the year they did a smart mover and they put it out later in the year on Switch. So they got the bump, the requisite bump from Switch, and it looks like that game really carried it over top when it went on Switch. So yes, that is the number one selling game. It's the first time in a long time a non-Call of Duty, non-Grand Theft Auto or Rockstar selling game has reached the top of the mountain for a year. So it's been a long time dominated by Call of Duty. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 finished number 2. Do you find that to be a failure at Activision, Blizzard, Xbox, whatever you want to call it right now?
That Call of Duty was third or
No,
second?
second,
Third,
second.
second. Yeah.
Mhm.
That can't be a failure for a game that's been out for how long?
I'm just telling you, they would probably consider it a failure for them. That's the.
Well, I mean, their measuring stick and my measuring stick are quite different, apparently. But no, I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, God, Modern Warfare 3. It's over. It's over a decade, right?
Modern Warfare 3 came out last year. Came out in November of
Oh,
last
what
year.
am I thinking about then? I am
You're probably
clearly
talking
thinking
about
that they're on the
You're
same.
talking about the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Because remember, COD had the
Oh,
original Modern
right,
Warfare
right, right,
1,
right,
2,
right,
3, and
right.
then it came out with rebooted. Yes, this. So yes,
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. That's where I got lost. See, that's
yeah.
why I don't play these shooter games, man. I can't even keep the name straight.
Madden NFL 24 was third. Marvel Spider-Man 2 was fourth, but a lot of that could have been helped by the fact that they were bundled in many of holiday PlayStation 5. But again, the
Yeah.
high ratings and the good story, I think, for it, the co-op ability, Usl helped it out as well. So good showing for Marvel Spider-Man 2. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is fifth. Diablo 4 is in the top 10 at number 6. What are your thoughts on Diablo 4 striking it rich for 2023 and number 6?
Well, I mean, I'm always going to be surprised that it wasn't a little bit higher on the list. I figured it would at least make it top 5.
It
Pardon
didn't
me.
sustain the momentum. It really
Yeah,
didn't
no,
stay.
yeah. It's one of those situations where I don't know that the beta test weekend helped it or if it hindered it. Does that I don't know.
I think they're just their way they structured their season out. I think after the game was released, I think a lot of people there was a lot of momentum after it was released, but there was some I guess quirks with Diablo and then again the way they implemented their first season 1. I
Yeah,
think
they
that was
did.
probably to their undoing, and because they've gotten a
Yeah.
lot of feedback from the community on that.
Yeah, and they did go in and they did nerf a couple of the classes and stuff like that, and that always makes for a less than desirable gaming experience, you know?
Hmm. But
Also, why
overall, you enjoyed it.
yeah, overall I enjoy it for sure. Absolutely. And it was for me this year, it was Baldur's Gate 3 and it was Diablo 4. Those are my two games this year.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Uh, After that, you've got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 at number 7, which is, I guess, again, you've got Call of Duty, both the previous year version and last year's version, both on the list. Mortal
Yep.
Kombat 1 was, despite the fact that Street Fighter 6 was commonly thought of as the better of the games, the fighting games that came out, Mortal Kombat 1 was the better selling, which is the all important thing that's there. It's cash money. Mortal
Mhm.
Kombat 1 was at number 8, despite the fact of the Nintendo Switch version, which again happens to be the worst port, one of the worst ports I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah, absolutely. Even though that, despite that, it got number 8. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, that is an underrated game that you need to try, and then EA Sports FC 24. So, yeah, there you go. That's the top 10 for best-selling games out there. Any last thoughts on that before we move on, my friend?
Yeah, honestly, just I'm surprised that Diablo 4 wasn't a bit higher, despite some of those problems that we mentioned, and yeah, I'm not really surprised for Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay, well, there you go.
Mm,
But before we head on out, you and I have got to go ahead and start chatting about a whole bunch of good stuff for me
yeah.
and some bad stuff for you.
Hmm.
Do you want to hit the bad first or do you want to hit the good first?
Oh, always start with the good first.
All right, here we go.
Mm.
So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start talking about some of the best. Well, it is my collection of the best of pop culture for 2023. And unless I actually give a number to it, it is in no order.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I'm
We're
only
playing
giving a
fast and
top.
loose
I'm
this
only
year. I
giving
like it.
I'm only giving a top 5 is what I'm numbering. So the rest of the stuff is stuff that intrigued me, was good, but not quite good enough to reach the top 5. But I will go ahead and start off with something that came out in late 2022, like you mentioned with Vason. Blade
Yeah.
Runner RPG, something everybody has to go ahead and, if they are a fan of the Blade Runner universe, I have to go ahead and try. That is a absolutely fantastic RPG that people need to get into. So please go ahead. Our friends were able to go ahead and send us over a Blade Runner RPG, and I'm telling you, it was just something that I cannot thank them enough for doing so. The great folks that were able to go ahead at Free League and send us over, just truly cannot thank them enough for it, because it was an experience that is just tremendous if you really want to get into the world of Blade Runner. So yes, absolutely. And like you with Vason, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to get Blade Runner RPG. So
Yeah.
yes. All right. Moving on again in no discernible order. John Wick 4.
Uh-huh.
John Wick 4 for me was really good, strong, a little long. I think it a little overstayed its welcome just a little bit, but had tremendous fight scenes. I think it was better than number 3. I would probably go 1, 2, 4, and 3 if you really pinned me down on the John Wick movies. 1, 2,
Hmm.
4, and 3. Although all 4 are entertaining to say the least, I would sit down and watch them again. It's not like our now famous, what I've used in commercial in regarding to Matrix Revolutions on the other Keanu Reeves recent movie, which ended up being on my bad list
Yeah.
of movies that are out there. But John Wick 4. And spoilers, did he die or did he not die? My guess is there that we'll be finishing off the series with a John Wick 5. But that's
Yeah.
just my guess at this point in time.
Well, just chalk it up to money talks, baby. Money talks.
And it's
Yeah.
talking because John Wick 4 was a major success at the box office, critical success. A lot of people, it appeared on a lot of top 10, top 20 lists for movies. So yes, definitely a winner all the way around for John Wick 4. And again, did he die or did he not? We'll have to answer the question hopefully with a John Wick 5 someday. But John Wick 4 was on my list of the best of pop culture for 2023. There's a series on Amazon which never gets enough love that people need to check out. It is not the prettiest show to watch. It is not the most well-budgeted show to watch, but Upload Season 3 is always an enjoyable show because of the fact that they are the little show that can, the little show that could, and the little show that did, despite the coronavirus interrupting its shooting schedule, despite everything that's going on as far as the money that's put into the show. You can see that it's not given the huge tremendous production budgets that some of these other television shows get. It does really good entertaining with what they have, and the cast of characters are the reason why. You put them in different situations, it doesn't matter. They seem to do really well. They seem to enjoy working with each other, and it reflects that in Upload Season 3. I know you've got a chance to see Upload. What are your thoughts of the television show named Upload?
I think that it's a really fun little show. And to be completely honest, with the way that social media and AI and the capabilities that AI is starting to show, I don't think things like what we have in the show Upload are too far into the future, to be completely honest with you. I think that there's enough of us who are living our lives on the internet through social media and all of that kind of stuff that yeah, it's something like Upload, that kind of idea, I think is going to be all too realistic. And maybe that's why the show not having much of a budget is okay with people, because it may make it feel a little bit more realistic. Just if that for such an interesting concept for a show, I think that having it be a little bit lower budget probably is working in its favor.
That's true. But
Mm.
yes, Upload Season 3, the little show that could, the little show that has, the little show that did. I hope it gets renewed for Season 4 because I think it always has somewhere good to go. You cannot tell me that they canceled it for budgetary reasons because,
Right.
again, this is a show that does whatever it can with whatever little it gets. And it comes through really a spade. This show has a lot of heart, and I hope people out there get a chance to check it out on Amazon Prime. It's Upload Season 3. Please go ahead and check it out today on Amazon Prime. In fact, if you caught up, it's not that big or long of a watch as far as if you catch up with all 3 seasons right now on Amazon Prime. All right, for me, next up on my list, again, no discernible order as of yet. Ending of Loki season two. I did think Loki season two got off to a little bit of a little over-explanatory start. I thought it might have talked over the heads of its audience a little bit in the first couple episodes, but my gosh, after the turn of the corner on the halfway through, you really started to get in with what's going on with Loki. I really enjoyed the last half of Loki, especially the way it ended up and the possible future for Loki, seeing how he's the god of time and the god of stories and all that. And your thoughts on Loki and what happened in season two?
Oh god, you know what? I am not fully caught up on Loki season 2. I know. What have I been doing all year? I know. But I will say that the bits of it that I have caught, I think that you're pretty right on that. I think half of the season is and then it gets fine.
I guess, and then by the end, it gets a lot better. I
Yeah.
will go ahead and let you know when you get a chance to catch up to it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at where it ends up for Loki. I think it is a nice thing that Disney Plus has. I know it didn't get quite the ratings of the first season, but it's still something I think that hopefully they will buy into for Loki season three, or how to incorporate this version of Loki going forward. It'd be great to see if that's the case. Coming up next is Maestro on Netflix with Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan. Just basically a movie that a biopic, shot in black and white for a lot of it. I love the fact that they had the washed out 60s and 70s colors as far as the way it was shot later on to picture that time period. But yes, detailing the composer, the great composer Leonard Bernstein and his wife Felicia. Definitely something I think, if you're interested in getting a closer look at one of the great auteurs of American music, you might want to look into Maestro. A good performance by Bradley Cooper as Leonard Bernstein, but I think it's Carey Mulligan as Felicia Montalegre. She is the scene stealer in this. She really does a fantastic job in this movie, and I think it's what makes this movie a pass for not pass. What makes this movie a go see and a go watch is her performance. Bradley Cooper's good, but Carey Mulligan is even better.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm hearing about this is that Carrie Mulligan, every time she's on the screen, she just snatches it. She takes it right from Bradley Cooper. And I don't know, there's something that feels really good about that. And I'm not sure why that is. And I'm not sure why I have those feelings towards Bradley Cooper, but oh
I
well.
mean, he directed it, so he directed her very well, and I will
Yeah.
say that he gets compliments for that. So yeah, Maestro is a good film, and I think a lot of it's based off the work by Bradley Cooper, but also very much the work by Carey Mulligan as well. Next on my list is another Netflix, and you're going to get to see a lot of Netflix stuff. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is next on my list. If you're familiar with the Scott Pilgrim universe, this is the animated series after what, 12, 13, 14 years? The whole cast of Scott Pilgrim versus the World decided to come back together for an animated series. And I enjoyed it from the aspect of you get to know the characters besides Scott Pilgrim in much more detail than you do just Scott Pilgrim. In the movie, you get to know Scott Pilgrim in his battle against the evil X's. In this case, you get to know the evil X's and the friends in the outside world of Scott Pilgrim without having to really delve deeply into Scott Pilgrim himself until the end.
Right.
So it kind of has a ending that's kind of like, okay, it's pretty obvious. It's not exactly that twisting of an ending or whatnot. It's pretty obvious. You can see it from the last 2-3 episodes what's going to happen. But okay, it is what it is. But again, the animation's okay, it's especially if you're in anime. But I will tell you, Chris Evans absolutely loves that Lucas Lee character. He
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
just enjoys not playing Captain America roles. He
Yeah.
absolutely loves playing this jerk character. There's an episode devoted to him that is actually the best of the lot. but yeah, I mean, the whole cast deserves praise as Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Just the whole crew deserves praise as far as Jason Schwartzman, and the list goes on and on. The entire cast deserves praise for what they and the way they structured it, like an anime. Yeah, it looked good for what it was. And as Scott Pilgrim takes off, your thoughts? Did you get a chance to delve into the world of Scott Pilgrim?
We haven't yet. There is, to be honest, I think we are just about all the way through our must-watch list for animes. So I think that's going to open up some opportunities for us to catch up on some of the shows that we may have skipped on earlier this year, just so we could take care of some of our uh, anime stuff.
I think you'll like it. I think you
Yeah,
like it. It's pretty good for what it is.
yeah,
Again, if you're into the world of Scott Pilgrim and you've seen the movie,
yeah.
this is definitely steals a lot of that, and then obviously borrows upon that world and universe. But it does the thing that it does that I like so much is it delves on the characters that are not named Scott Pilgrim, and that's what I like the most.
Right.
One Piece, the live action
Yeah.
series on Netflix, speaking of Netflix, was something I liked. I enjoyed. I was surprised that I would
So did
actually
I.
get into this.
Yeah.
This was something where it was charming
Hmm.
and almost to a fault because it was so charming. But yeah, it is charming. And it didn't have the story elements to create something high and cutting edge. It just had charm all the way
Hmm.
through, and it didn't need it because again, with the characters and the actors that are playing these characters from this famous anime and manga, really, with a IP that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories
Yeah.
based into it. How they were able to go ahead and pull this off with just what a 5 or 6 episode deal, just truly amazing and well done because One Piece is definitely worth watching on Netflix.
Yeah, I really, because we've tried. I mean, we've done what a lot of other people have done, and we've tried to get through the slog of getting through 137 or whatever it is episodes before you land on the stuff that everybody loves.
Isn't like 1,000 over 1,000
Yeah.
something? Yeah.
I mean, it's wild the amount of episodes that you have to go through just to get to the part that everybody is like, no, this is when you're going to start to love it. So when the live action came out, I was like, all right, let's give this a shot and see what happens. And then I really enjoyed it. So, bravo. I echo that. Bravo to the people who put together the story for the live action because they really did sell the IP. And I mean, I haven't suggested it yet, but I'm now far more open to going through, 137 episodes of a show that I don't really care for just to get to episode 138.
I agree. I agree, my
Yeah.
friend. Just wake me up when season 2 hits for One Piece.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of season 2, unfortunately, a show that has ended with season 2, especially if you're a Lakers fan out there, in Winning Time on HBO Max. I thought this season was substantially better than the first season. Thought the season 1 was okay, but it was all over the place as far as dynamics. This season really reined in, controlled a lot better, and I thought it was for the better for this season. But unfortunately, Lakers fans out there, you're always going to be ending up with the Lakers loss in the Boston showers for Magic Johnson out there, as far as one of the last scenes of for season 2, because the show's been canceled and does not look like it's going to be picked up. But that doesn't mean it's not one of the best shows that I saw. Winning Time season 2. Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
All right.
Speaking of season 2,
Yes.
not quite the barn burner of season 1, but still some good episodes, some really good episodes mixed in with some episodes, but there's some really strong episodes in this season of season 2. So you got a chance to check out, as the Star Trek fan you are, of course, with Star Trek Strange New World season 2. You all caught up with your Anson Mount, who we should think is hopefully going to do more than just have non-speaking roles in Marvel movies.
Honest to goodness, what do we have to do to get Anson Mount a movie? Honestly, if there's a cast of Star Trek that has deserved a shot at the big screen, it's that cast. Honestly, they're all charismatic. They all, as you've said, they all clearly enjoy each other. And I think that they're all and I don't like the way that this is going to sound when I say it, but they're all good looking enough to make the transition over to big screen. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just there's a thing about people that you see in movies versus people that you see on TV. Not that one is better than the other. Please, I'm not an elitist, but I just think that that particular cast, that bridge crew, will just look fantastic up on a big screen. And I think that the whoever it is that is writing this or who is storyboarding out the seasons, I think that they're doing a great job. They're bringing back the stuff about Star Trek that people love, like the court episodes and stuff like that.
That was a really good
Um,
episode.
yeah,
Really,
so
really good
good.
episode.
Yeah, really, really
That the
good.
woman who played the
Yes.
attorney,
More of
she
her.
was fantastic,
Yes.
absolutely fantastic, and I hope she gets a long career based off of that performance. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think that yeah, Anson Mount, that needs to be a movie. Who do I have to call?
Well, here we go, continuing with our or my best of pop culture for 2023. Keeping on going on this list, Mr. Dress Up, the magic of make believe. For you Canadians out there, I'm an
Yeah.
American. I shouldn't be getting involved with this. I shouldn't enjoy this. I shouldn't have sat down and caught the whole thing, but I did. I enjoyed it. It was tear jerking. It was sentimental. It was emotional. And it was actually based off my good friend, Mr. Rob McCallum, who directed this show,
Yeah.
this documentary. The guy whose voice you heard in the beginning, if you're listening on audio, the magic of make believe, Mr. Dress Up. You could see the amount of love that he had for Mr. Dress Up in this documentary. So tell me your thoughts on Mr. Dress Up, the magic of make believe, being one of my best of pop culture for 2023.
I love that it has made your best of list. Truly, I love that so much. There is a lot of stuff that is quintessentially Canadian that I just wish more of the world saw and took a moment to take in, because there is really good, beautiful stuff up there. And I'm not just talking about the Heritage Minutes; those are a whole genre of television in themselves. Just go to YouTube and just Google Canadian Heritage Minutes, and you're going to be like, what is this? Basically, they were PSAs that they put together to make sure that we understood like the difference between Canadian culture and American culture. So it's a lot of stuff about like the movers and shakers among Canadians as Canada was growing as a nation. So anyway, Mr. Dress Up, key to all of that. There's also another one, the Gentle Giant, I believe was his name. Of course, I'm going to
Mhm.
forget it right now. Anyway, beautiful shows for kids, and definitely I was in the right age group. That's right in the target of me growing up, was Mr. Dress Up. So I love that it's on your best of list.
Shout out to my good friend, Mr. Rob McCallum. You did it again with another really, really solid documentary, one of my best of pop culture for 2023. And that is Mr. Dress Up, The Magic of Make Believe on Amazon Prime. Speaking of documentaries you can catch out there, if you want to go ahead and check out the Wiggles documentary, that is an awesome documentary as well. I had a great time watching it. It took me back to when my kids were entranced with the Wiggles in the early 2000s, mid 2000s and late 2000s, heading into the early 2010s as they became young girls, but they watched religiously Wiggles on the TV, on the VHS, and on the DVD. And then we went to go see concerts of theirs, and just following their rise to success as this documentary. I believe it's on Amazon Prime as well, if I remember. Yes, please go ahead and check it out. It is worth your time. If you have a love for the Wiggles, go ahead and check it out.
Here.
There you go. I didn't know if you were a Wiggles fan as well, but it sounds like
Yeah,
you're more of a
no,
Mr. Dress
I
Up
was I was already working a 9 to 5 by the time the Wiggles came around. So
fan. Okay. All right.
yeah.
Fair enough, it is. But speaking of video games, as we always do, Starfield from the folks at Bethesda. That is the big Xbox release of last year. It does get on my list. It does sneak on my list, even though it does have its issues from what has been spoken out so many times from everybody out there. It does have a unique enough story and the ability to go ahead and do things evil or good that will allow you to go ahead and enjoy the game for hours on end. And that's what a game is supposed to do. So Starfield is on my list of the best of pop culture for 2023. Coming up after that, again, in no discernible order, Barbie. Barbie, the
Mhm.
movie, was a really good watch. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but not only was it something that, I think a lot of ladies out there found inspirational, empowering, but for everyone out there, regardless male or female, it's a damn entertaining movie. Great performance by Margot Robbie. Ryan Gosling taking the Ken role to the extreme was just absolutely fantastic to watch. And yes, this movie, despite people saying it might get too preachy or might get too this, get to that, it is definitely a movie worth watching. And if you haven't caught it yet, please make the effort to do so. It was the number one movie of last year for a reason, and it's because it's a good movie. Point blank.
That's it.
That's it. Did you get a chance to see it yet?
No, it is on our so we always watch a movie when we have dinner, and that's been our dinner movie, but we haven't felt like it's the right night yet. I don't know what we're waiting for, but I
Okay.
know it's absolutely the silliest thing. And to be honest, sometimes I can't stand ourselves.
Okay. Well, the other end of that, the Barbenheimer, Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
also is high up on my list, the best spot
Yeah.
culture in 2023. That is a visual and sound experience from Christopher Nolan. If you get a chance to see it, it is very deserving of much of the praise that it got. Looks like it's going to be taking the awards this season. I really think that because the fact it's already won a lot of the Golden Globes, it's gotten very high up on the BAFTA list. It's gotten a lot of ink already on the best of list. I think, sorry to the all apologies to poor things and the holdovers. I think it's the shoe in or the front runner for the best picture at the Oscars, my friend.
Yeah, this movie is the kind of movie that the Oscars love.
Yeah.
You know, it's a retelling of history. It tells it in an interesting, fascinating way. It's, kind of larger than life in its ideas and stuff like that. So I think that just seems to be the wheelhouse that the Oscars really, really like. Would Barbie, if Oppenheimer wasn't released in 2023, do you think that Barbie would have a shot at Best Picture, or do you think it's just gonna default to Oppenheimer more than
I think it's
likely?
going to default to Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if Barbie, even let's say Oppenheimer wasn't in it, I would still think that Poor Things and Holdovers, because they're more critically art house movies,
Sure.
lean
Yeah.
towards to what the
Yeah.
Academy would like. I think they would
Yeah.
get that over Barbie, anyways. Barbie
Yeah.
is commercial. Barbie is too commercially known and too commercially made for probably any type of critical lauding of that type as far as an Oscar is concerned. They'll get
Yeah.
Oscars. I think they will get an Oscar for other categories, but not Best Picture. No.
Yeah. I just feel like there's a lot of like, and I don't know why I feel like it's like this, but I just feel like there's a lot of British throat clearing when it comes to critics sitting down and trying to take the Barbie movie seriously. Unfortunately, I just think that it's a lot of Barbie. Do you know
No.
what I mean? Like
Yes.
I don't know how to explain what I'm trying
Oh,
to
I
get at.
do. I think you do. I know I
Yeah.
do too. I know I hear you on that. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree with you more. Two other movies I want to go ahead and put on my list for the best of pop culture for 2023: Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. That will
Mhm.
be home soon for those on Paramount Plus. That movie is a really strong movie. Don't let the mediocre or tepid 550 $600 million worldwide performance deter you from watching this film. It's a really strong film and one of the better entries of Mission Impossible. I just recently flowed back to watch many of the Mission Impossibles on Netflix that were on there, and I had a good time watching them and realized that Dead Reckoning stands up with those movies. So yeah, if you get a chance to watch it, Dead Reckoning Part One, although Part Two is being restructured, so it looks like it will not there not be a Part Two. It'll be named something else. So just want to let everybody know I like what I saw for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, and it, yes, it does go into the delving into AI a lot, but yeah, I think this was the movie that I think gets sorely underrated when people talk about the best of 2023. The other movie I wanted to go ahead and give a shout out to was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I definitely want to go ahead As far as talk about that, absolutely a fantastic sequel to the other Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So definitely want to go ahead and give that a shout out there, Melinda. So if you haven't seen it yet, please watch Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It is definitely worth your time and definitely sets it up for a part three, which I think detracts it from a little bit, but I think it's a really, really strong film nonetheless.
Yeah, this one was one that I actually did manage to watch, and thoroughly enjoyed it. There's just something really cool and really refreshing about the animation style that they use, that I think is really fantastic, and it's that alone is compelling to watch, and then you add a great story in on top of that. So
Want to give a big shout out to the video games that weren't mentioned so far on our list of best of pop culture 2023, and one that was already. Resident Evil 4, Dead Space, and the Metroid Prime remakes got really strong reviews. I wanted to go ahead and give that a shout out because remaking these video games is not an easy task, and to do so and so well, we're in an age now that remakes and remasters, for the most part, are becoming more and more successful and absolutely getting new people involved with these games. So yeah, definitely give a big shout out for that. Baldur's Gate 3, which Melinda said is one of her favorites, got to give that a big shout out. And what we
yeah,
mentioned could be, I don't know, again, if they ever release the actual sales, could be one of the best selling games of 2023. Definitely caught a lot of people off guard. And I wish the folks at Larian much success because they deserve it after the great creation that Jamie Sweet was on the show just before it got released and said great things about it. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, right. And then it blew up in my face. And I'll tell you what, Baldur's Gate 3 deserves all the praise it gets. Before we head to my final five, my last two TV shows are Star Trek Picard season 3, ending it. It kind of ended a little bit, or actually, it was really good to start off with that season. Much better than the first two seasons combined, which are a slog. Sorry, Melinda.
wow,
Season 3, I've been harsh on the first two seasons, but
I
the
I do know.
season 3 was started off really strong, got to a little bit but then it got into the nostalgia and dipped heavily into nostalgia on the end, and I absolutely love that ending. Marvel's What If season 2, Disney Plus dumped it at the back end of the year, right in that final days of 2023, and it's really good. It is really darn good. And there's some episodes in there I think people need to check out. I think it's better than the Uneven season 1, which I thought had its highs and lows, but season 2 really is a lot of fun. If you get a chance, check it out today on Disney Plus. So here comes my final five, my top five of the best
Oh
pop
man.
culture in 2023.
Uh-huh.
Starts off with a goodbye, as we say goodbye to Archer on
Oh,
FX.
yeah.
Its final season with the final movie attached to it. Really, just a great show. Always gone under the radar for a lot of people. It is risque, it is adult oriented, but it is a lot of
Yeah.
fun and has one of the great, great stars. He's a protagonist and antagonist all in one.
Yeah.
Archer, that series and that show was just fantastic to watch all the way through, and the final season capped it off on a good note. Number 4 is a series that you've been hoping for me to go ahead and say, and I said it would be on this list. It is Blue Eye Samurai. Number 4 on my list.
Right?
At the time, there was times in those first episodes it was going to be number 1 on my list, but the
Oh,
ending and the way it
man.
ended, leaving everything open like untied shoes, kind of got me back. But that sucker looks really damn good. It is some
Oh,
of the best
man.
animation I have seen. It is smooth. It is really well done. The voice acting is just fantastic. Again, don't give me any more cheesy montages and open-ended everything on the back end. I understand you want a season 2. That's great. Tie some loose ends. You can leave others open. That would be my advice to you. But otherwise, it is a fantastic watch. It is adult rated and adult only on that. Does touch on those themes. But if you are interested, Blue Eye Samurai is the most underrated animation project on Netflix. You need to catch it.
Honestly, I don't know why they're not promoting that better. Sorry, go ahead.
It's absolutely no. Speaking of Netflix, you got a chance to see this around Halloween time or whatnot. It provided some scares. Follow the House of Usher.
Mm.
Well made, well constructed, a cast that was really into it. I know Bruce Greenwood was thrown into the lead at late in going there, but him playing that role was fantastic. He got in there, and it was for the better. And I think it really just like the cast, the structure of the story, very well done. And I was very pleased, and I was very accepting of my time watching The Fall of the House of Usher, and I highly recommend it. It's not as scary as people think. It just
Mm-mm.
tells a great story. And if you're interested in just taking, an Edgar Allan Poe retelling from a modern perspective, Fall of the House of Usher it is. So, have you
Did
seen
you
it
have?
yet?
Oh yeah, I saw it like the day it dropped. That
Oh,
was
that's right.
one that
That's right. We talked about it. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
that was definitely one that I wasn't going to mess around with. But was there is there a death for you that sticks out?
No, all of them were very creative and very outlandish. I just think that overall it was really good. As far as it's concerned, I think all of them were good. I think all the way and the elaborate ways that they created all the
Yeah.
deaths in there were very intriguing. And again, I just thought it just kept you going along with, and it kept you entrenched, and it kept you entranced in what you wanted to see. So yeah, for that I'm very grateful for The Fall of the House of Usher on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, really good. For me, my favorite death was the mirrors.
Good point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good death
Brutal.
indeed.
Brutal. Oh
Very
god, I still
brutal.
get the heebie-jeebies.
Ugh.
Okay. Sorry.
My next on the list is actually something you can catch on Disney Plus, and if you are a YouTube fan, it is a must-watch. Yes, so is the Thing at the Spear, but if you don't have $400 a ticket,
Right?
go check out Bono and the Edge, A Sort of Homecoming, where they go back to their native Ireland. Dave Letterman is the host for this, and they basically go and incorporate their songs, but also talk about their lives back in Ireland, and just the camaraderie they have with the people of Ireland. It showcases them in a different light, and while it's not all four members of U2, you do get a sense of absolutely everything that they've done successful so far, and hopefully they have more success to come. So Bono on the Edge, A Sort of Homecoming, really stirs the emotions and is really a well-made documentary slash musical, as far as because it showcases their songs as well, them singing live and in performance in Ireland. So yeah, go check that out. Bono on the Edge, A Sort of Homecoming on Disney Plus. And the last but certainly not least, the number one item on Best of Pop Culture 2023. And if you haven't guessed what it is, Melinda, I'd be surprised, but because at the beginning of last year, we were speaking praises about this show, and that was The Last of Us on
Oh, yes.
HBO Max.
Yeah.
This was absolutely fantastic. I know people want to say Secession, and Secession deserves a right on every Best of Pop Culture list or every Best of Television list. I get it. They're going to win all the awards, Emmys, all that. But for me, the most stirring, emotional, TV show that does a video game justice. Hello, Halo. That does a video game justice and a video game adaptation well is The Last of Us. And here's
Yeah.
hoping that video game adaptations like The Last of Us, like the Super Mario Brothers movie, will get more and proper respect going forward. But yes, The Last of Us is my best to pop culture for 2023, Melinda.
That's a solid list.
There you go. But if you have
Mhm.
a best of pop culture for 2023, let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. But before we head on out, and before you're going to let everyone know out there what you're up to, what is your worst of pop culture for 2023?
Well,
Besides the writer strike. I know everybody know that, and the actor strike. That was,
yeah,
yeah.
the studio responses mostly to the writer strike and the actor strike was what really kind of got it for me. That was a gross display of greed by the studios in my opinion anyway.
Mhm. I
Um
completely agree.
I think that let me preface this with Toni Collette is a treasure. I think that she's a great, fantastic actress. I have loved just about everything that she's been in, and I thought this movie would be fun. Maybe I was just in a mood. Maybe I should try to watch it again. But Mafia Mama, I really wanted to enjoy it. I just wanted to have a fun movie, Gerald.
Shouldn't the name say it all?
Yes. I don't know. I was like, all right, let's just have some fun. Let's just let's just go ahead and suspend reality in every single dimension that you can possibly think of, and just put your brain on pause and just have enjoy a fun movie. I mean, the wardrobe was fantastic. Who I don't know who dressed everyone in the movie, but they deserve an Oscar for that. But yeah, that was a worst for me. And interestingly, because you know how much I love me some Keanu Reeves, and you know how much I love me a John Wick movie, I did not enjoy John Wick 4 at all.
Really?
Yeah, at all. And I've obviously, I like some odd things from time to time. And you like to let me know when I'm enjoying an odd thing. But yeah, no, I don't know what it was about the John Wick 4 movie. It just didn't cut the mustard for me. I don't know if my expectations going in were higher. I don't know if, John Wick 3 was such a okay movie for me that I really expected more. I expected them to make up for it with John Wick. I don't know what it was. I just didn't really enjoy it.
Okay.
And that made me
No worries.
sad. It made me sad. And the hotel show, sorry, the Concord, is that what it was called?
Like the Continental.
Continental, thank you. That
That was
show
not good.
also,
Yeah, that was not good.
yeah, I really wanted to like that. I wanted to like that a lot. And because I'm really excited about all of these projects that are coming out that are exploring the John Wick universe, right? Like the ballerinas and all of that stuff. They're getting shows, and I'm very excited about all of that. But if this is what we're going to get, I don't know that I want them to explore it. I would much rather stick with what I have already decided in my head is how things work,
Fair enough.
you know?
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it happened this year or if it was the tail end of last year. But the HBO move to Max, that whole thing, I'm still not logged into Max. That's how much it's bothered me.
Oh my.
I know. So yeah, I didn't think it was necessary. I didn't think that it needed to happen. And I thought that if there wasn't a way for you to just go ahead and update the app and have everybody just log in to their accounts that they already had instead of going over to Max and having to redo, what a hassle. That was awful. A
Yeah.
terrible decision. Yeah, that was probably my biggest annoyance of the year. And then you know what? That being my biggest annoyance tells me that 2023 was a pretty good year.
Well, tell you what though, what a great list. But before we head on out, my friend, you've got to get everyone updated on what you're working on right now with Vampires Vitae and your special new project right there with the Wild Tales Beyond, as far as tell us all the tales that is going on in the world of Melinda.
Okay, so Vampires and Vitae, the episode that releases this week, is the final episode of Alex's arc Alex's arc playing Benoit, who is the sire of Alistair. That's a lot to jump around. Anyway, he had a 4-episode arc. This week, you're going to get the final in his arc, which he just what an incredibly talented dude. Like he really just came into this table and just sat down with all of these weirdos who come together week after week after week, and he just slid in like he'd always been here. He really did a fantastic job, and is truly a terrifying and menacing character. So if that sounds like your kind of idea for a vampire story, absolutely listen to the last 3 episodes to get you ready for what will drop on Saturday. And then Shadows of Larkovnia, we are back at the table, and episodes are dropping regularly on Wednesdays. Our latest episode 3 of the first homebrew that I have written, which I'm very excited about. Episode 3 just dropped this week. Episode 4 in the can and ready to go. And I'm really excited with where these characters are pushing the story and how they've taken kind of the picture that I've painted, and each one of them has kind of remixed it and turned it into something else. And it's really, really fun. It's really, really cool. At least I think it is, but I'm partial because I kind of wrote it. So
There you go.
if
So
that
check it
doesn't
out.
sell
So
it,
where
I
can
don't know what
everybody?
will.
So where can everybody check out all this that's going on in your world?
You can check all of those out on all of the places where you would usually get your podcast, including iHeartRadio. We're on Audible. We're on Spotify. We're in all of the places.
There you go. Please go ahead and support Melinda today wherever you get your podcasts. Well, Melinda, it's been a great episode, but any last thoughts before we head on out?
Yes, get the Senua's game. You just hit wow. Should I try that again?
It's up to you.
All right, let's try one more time. Absolutely pick up the Hellblade games. The first one, if you didn't play it, get it before the second one comes out, because what they did and how they mastered that audio, man, I was stuck on that for quite a while. And that's not to take away from the visuals and all of that stuff. It's a beautiful game to look at. And it is a scary game to play. I I mean, I recommend, but I also don't recommend turning off all of the lights, and then just having your TV light on with your surround sound or your headphones would make it even better in the dark. Yeah, fantastic.
That comes out May 21st, but Senua, Hellblade, Senua Sacrifice. You need to go ahead and check it out right now on Game Pass on Xbox. And then again, May 21st for Hellblade 2. So yes, looking forward to that as well. So from Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great